You've tuned into InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, a video podcast series. Our episode starts right now. Here's your host, Dominique Vale.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, where you can check in for your dose of stigma-breaking, humor-filling, life-loving, empowering hacks and life tips for all of the medically adultish people in your life. As always, I'm Dominique Vale, founder of InvisiYouth Charity and your host for the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions. And we are still right in the beginning of season 6. We are here with season 6, episode 83. And I am so excited because our next guest is someone who has been an incredible Instagram find of mine, which you know is very hard for me to do. And I have had myself and all of InvisiYouth enjoying her content for years, where she brings so much realistic, smart, humorous, and chic advocacy and content creation onto the platform. It is advocate, influencer, and TV reporter for Access Media Incorporated, Mara Hutchinson. So living with retinitis pigmentosa and Usher syndrome, Mara deals with hearing loss as well as being legally blind, both of her health struggles beginning around 2010 and 2011. But in 2014, Mara really began to hit her stride, reharnessing her voice and confidence in life, getting involved in things like the Canadian National Institute for the Blind and the Trailblazers Tandem Cycling Club, even taking part in a fundraising cycling event for the foundation Fighting Blindness to find a cure for degenerative blindness. And now Mara, being a Canadian living in Canada with her husband and son, not only shares about their lives with her growing social media platform, but also through her work collaborations and so much more than just bringing awareness and so much phenomenal representation to the spectrum of visual impairment and blindness. Mara really shares about so many intersections in her life, from being legally blind and her loves of travel, fitness, reporting, being a proud Filipino Canadian, raising her son, and bringing awareness and improving the representation and understanding of the visual impairment and blindness spectrum. So I am so excited to have someone on the podcast who I always say is probably one of the coolest advocates that I know out there. So Mara, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, that is just an introduction, honestly. The coolest. Oh my God, if my son was to hear that, he'll be like, really? But I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to meet you.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. And trust me, you guys, by the end of this hour, you will also agree that Mara brings such a chic level to this advocacy game that I'm so thrilled for you all to get to experience. And as always, we like to remind you at the top of the show to hit that subscribe button. There should be a little reminder popping up here. So click subscribe, whether you are watching us on YouTube or listening to us on any audio podcast platform like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You have about another 55 minutes to make sure you click that subscribe button. So I will give you another reminder at the end of the show, and make sure you do that. So, but without further ado, we are going to go into our first segment, Rapid Fire Roundup.
Rapid Fire Round.
Rapid Fire Roundup, as you guys know, is our quick, fun way of getting to know our guest even better with our quirky, insightful, and kind of funny questions. So I know when we spoke on our prep call, Mara said I didn't look at these questions purposely so that we could give rapid answers.
I want to be fun. We got to have fun.
I am ready to just go through this. All right. What is one thing you will never leave your house without?
Oh man, okay. Aside from my white cane, obviously, my Vaseline for my lips.
Oh,
I know.
I just started using that on
Vaseline,
my lips more often.
And those who probably know me would know that I have been wearing Vaseline on my lips for years, since I was honestly like young. I cannot leave the house without it in my purse, and I would go really, really nuts if I don't have it in my purse.
Oh my God, I know. I just started using that, so I can now relate to that.
Yeah, it's so nice.
It is. What is something you always want to buy at the food store?
The food store. Are you talking about the grocery store, let's say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to always have my Lay's ketchup chips. I need, not that I'm going to eat it right away. It's just one of those things where if I feel for something like junk food, I need to make sure that there is my Lay's ketchup chips. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with ketchup chips, but we only have it in Canada, and I love ketchup chips.
I love that. What would you, if you had to pick coffee, tea, or another drink to have every day, which would it be?
Coffee. Everyone knows I like, and it has to be black coffee only. No sugar, no cream, no milk, strictly just black.
Mara, we're gonna be friends. I'm drinking black
I
coffee
would,
right
you know
now.
what, honestly, Dominique, I would have black coffee right now, but I am currently still sick. So I have my ginger tea, but I'm always with my black coffee all the time.
I love that so much. If you could join a cast of any television show, which one would you want to join?
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV. You know what? I really want, I don't know if you guys are familiar with The Circle. It's this
Okay.
reality TV show, and it's
Oh,
about a bunch of random, amazing, I feel like good people stuck in an apartment, and they only get to text. I
right.
don't know if
Okay.
it was it was a Netflix
Yeah,
show, but
I know
I would
it's
love to be on that. But I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of TV, but I would be down for The Circle.
okay. I like that. If you had to, if there's something, that you would pick a second city to have another home in, where would you want to live?
Oh man, this is tough. I I would pick Tokyo, Japan. I would be in Japan. I mean,
Oh, I like that.
I've traveled the world a lot, and I've been to so many places, but I feel like it's a this is tough because I love
You're like,
Portugal
give me
too.
four.
No, I would say Japan. I would say in a heartbeat, if I could live there and have a second home, it would be Japan.
I like that. I like that answer. If you had a superpower, which one would you pick?
You know what, honestly, ooh, I would probably always, I still to this day would say I would want to fly,
Mm.
but I'm going to change that to maybe one of those time machines or whatever, like you can just go back in time because I want to be back
Hmm.
with my mom, just kind of
Yeah.
relive and cherish those moments again with my mom. But
I love
either
that.
flying or going back in time or going into the
I
future, but I would go back in time.
I love that answer. If you, what is one staple in your closet that is like a fashion? Most people would say,
I,
Mars always in this.
I, I am, I have to say my jean jacket. I have a whole bunch of different kinds of denim jackets, denim
Mm.
shirts, anything denim. I would always rock denim on denim, the Canadian tuxedo, but I would always pick out my denim shirt or denim jacket. It has to be there. You have to have
I love
one,
that. Yeah,
right? I
very
feel like you
true.
always have to have one.
I agree. What would you, if you had to pick two words to describe yourself, what adjectives would you pick?
I'm loud. Is that I'm very loud.
Yeah, that's one.
Not because I'm partially deaf, but I've always been loud. I'm talkative.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like yeah.
yeah, that works. What I like, no, that works. If you had, what is something that in your house you're always running out of, that you're like, oh, we need to buy more of this all the time?
Coffee.
Coffee, I was
It's
gonna say.
so bad. No, Dominique, it's so bad. My husband will be like, "How much coffee do you drink?" It's like every week or every 2 weeks we have to like put it on the list to go buy it. I know it's so sad. No, I'm just thinking top of my head. I would say coffee
Yeah,
because
coffee.
I know
Yeah.
for a fact this weekend we gotta go buy.
Would you say that you're a morning bird or a night owl?
Girl, I am a morning bird. I can go to
Ooh.
bed anytime and still wake up 4:30 in the morning.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
still this perky or I mean this loud. I don't know. I feel
Wow.
like you get more things done. And I feel like
Yeah.
as a mom, I
Mm,
need my quiet time. Whether it's like I
yeah.
wake up, say my prayers, meditation, and then I work out. And then I sit there in peace till like I have to wake up my son for school. Yeah, I'm a morning bird, 100%.
Oh, I mentally I want to be a morning bird, but realistically I'm a night owl. So I hear you and I'm like, that all resonates, but my body's like, oh, never mind.
Oh man, well, wait until you're at my age. You'll probably be like, oh, who knows? I don't know, man. But I could stay up. I could still stay up if I have to stay up. But then I could still wait. I still wake up so early, no matter what time I go to bed. That's insane.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a dream. That is a dream. What is if you had to pick the last time you've worked with a charity, something you've really enjoyed, what was something you've done?
I'm a huge supporter and part of the Foundation Fighting Blindness Canada. And every year they do Cycle for Sight. And that's where I lead up to Trailblazers because I don't own a tandem bike. So Trailblazers is a huge community here where they provide the tandem bikes and ride with, the disabled people like me. And Cycle for Sight is every year, every June. And I've been participating here and there. If not, I'll just, quickly just kind of still round up some, donations and so on. But I love to, now that I get to participate and ride my tandem bike, well, with the team or with my best friend. So, yeah.
I love that. That's really nice. And last question, if you had to pick 2 words to describe your style of advocacy in your work that you do, how would you describe it?
I am as real as as real as you can get, because real, raw, authentic. I just feel like you just need to be real and show the good and the bad. And I'm not afraid to come on the camera and just legit just looking like a hot mess, because this is life. Not everything is always glam and so on. And I just feel like I need to just share the real me. And because that's me being human, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about your advocacy too. I enjoy
thanks.
it. It's very approachable. I love that so much. Mara, you made it through the rapid fire.
I know. I got all heated for some reason.
I love that. Before, guys, we go to our next segment, something else that I also love, I'm going to talk about. It is InvisiYouth Charity Shop and our Subtle Activist color block bracelets. If you're watching on YouTube, you would have seen them on my wrist and behind me on display. And you'll also see a nice little graphic popping up next to me too with our Etsy page link. This is our Subtle Activist color block bracelet, which, as you know, subtle activism is the style of activism that we love at InvisiYouth. We love to bring out the curiosity in someone to bring activism to the forefront. So as we always say, it is like that Starbucks cup in that scene in Game of Thrones where it wasn't meant to be there, but it started a lot of conversation. That is our color block bracelets. They are handmade by our volunteers with chronic illness and disability as well. And 100% of every sale goes directly towards funding all of our free monthly resources and programs that we provide, like this video podcast here. So every time you buy a bracelet for yourself or someone else you care about, it is like making a donation and getting a really nice chic bracelet attached to it as well. So if you would like to buy a Subtle Activist bracelet, you can go to our Etsy page. The link is in our description show notes, and you can see it on the screen as well. And we would love to see more of you rocking some Subtle Activist color blocked bracelets as well. So make sure you go do that while you can. And now, without further ado, next segment time, it is Break That Glass Ceiling.
Break that glass ceiling. Break that glass ceiling.
break that glass ceiling is we know how important it is to have those conversations, to talk about the different types of misconceptions or stigmas that surround the chronic illness and disability space, and how we can crack that ceiling to open minds and begin making some positive change. So with Mara, we are going to be really honing in on her conversational passion, fusion of advocacy, and her work through her social media platforms that she shares as well, to show how case to not only bring that confidence into yourself living with a chronic illness or disability, but then how to bring that into the relationships you have in your life. So I know at the top of the show, I had mentioned how much I love that on your platform you share about your husband and your son as well, and how really phenomenal they are. Shout out to your husband as well, being a nurse. We love the nursing community at InvisiYouth. So I would love to know for you, what has helped sort of build that foundation of that trust and support that you have with your husband? What are things that have been beneficial that you feel has helped him be a good supporter for you on your journey, and to build that kind of mutual trust and foundation for yourselves in a relationship?
Well, okay, I'm going to make this very, very fast because of with time, but I wanted to point out that there's not many guys like my Baz. And no, because when we just recently got engaged, that's none of this was going on yet. And then we found out that I was going through this, and we finally figured out what it was, which is retinitis pigmentosa. And we've fast forward to now, 22 years of being together, almost 12 years married. I feel like when you have such a good person who sees you more than whatever we are going through, which is, you know, our disabilities, chronic illness, everything, right? That is what I feel like is going to hold on to everything that we're building together, which is creating this life that we have. And I always say, I don't have it all, but I have it all in terms of what I need, which is the love, the simple house, the family that we have. And I always say I'm very rich in love, right? Because Baz is the type of person where he sees me for me, even before being legally blind. And he promised me that we are still going to get married. We are still going to have that life that we want, you know, whatever that would be, right? And you don't get many of that. Like you don't get many of that. And when you do find somebody like Baz, honestly, it is the most wonderful feeling ever. And I feel like with the whole foundation, everything is just what you create, what you believe. He believes in me, I believe in him. And the fact that what works for us may not work for other people, but it's the love that we have for each other. And I feel like always choosing each other first, you know, and behind everything else, why did he fall in love with me, or why did I fall in love with him, right? It's not about my disability or anything, because I mean, some guys would probably run away already, right? This is a lifetime. So I feel like choosing each other and knowing why are we building this future, and why did we choose each other and want to get married. So yeah.
I love that, because I like how you said, I have belief in him as much as he has belief in me.
Yes.
And it shows like it's mutual, because so much, I think, for young people who have a chronic illness or disability, they worry that their partner has to give so much to be supportive of them and help them adapt to things, and that they're not able to then give as much back to their partner. But it's just different ways of supporting each other. Yours might be more illness or disability, or your health focused ways that he supports you, but then on the other way, you're providing a lot of anchors for support back and believing in each other in different ways. So knowing that it, like you said, it's just we're believing in one another, we're creating something together. It's that mutual experience. And I know something I love is that you guys have so much fun together. It's not so much with an illness or disability is that worry that, oh, it's going to be especially for a partner who has never experienced illness or disability, they worry about, well, what, I'm not going to know what I'm capable of. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
And it is sort of your job to kind of help give them that confidence you have walking in your life, but then show them that you have levity and fun in things that are bad, and you feel them both
Oh,
ways.
for
And I think that's really
sure.
nice.
Because I memean, you have to communicate with your
Yeah.
family, your partner, or your friends, because you have to let him understand. I'm trying to let him understand where this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing. So certain things may not be so and so. So I just want you to understand that this is what I am going through. Because yes,
Mm.
you're right. Like they may not fully understand, but if you communicate better and understand one another and what you need from him or what you need around the house or so on, I mean, eventually, like you can kind of make things work, right? And there's
Hmm.
sometimes he still forgets here and there, but that's just normal because he's probably
Yeah.
thinking, I forgot because you're able to do so many things. And when you need help, it's like, whoa, like, but communication is always key to not just your partner, but I feel like with everybody, because you want your families to always understand where I'm not comfortable like this, or I am
Mm.
feeling blah, or I need
Hmm.
more lights, let's say, and I can't go to that place because it's not accessible for me, or so on, right? So communication is
Yeah.
always key, I feel like, in a relationship.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think even on the flip side, a different relationship that I love is that you about your absolutely adorable son Bronx.
Yeah.
And I love that he's just such a cool kid. And I love, because so much of parenting and disability I feel doesn't get as much recognition or discussed about as often. It feels like something that surprises people every time they notice it or
Yeah.
see it. And I would love to know your way of how you've kind of advice or things that have worked for you with Bronx, of helping him navigate learning about having being legally blind and learning about your health, as also on the flip side, how has he maybe found success navigating being out in the world with you and being and kind of having that interaction, because sometimes for kids it's they're trying to be supportive of their parents, and
Yeah.
then other kids are coming up asking them about their parents too. So kind of twofold, how have you navigated giving him that confidence to ask those questions of you when he might be curious or not knowing, but then how he translates that confidence outside of being home with you guys?
Well, Bronx is such an amazing kid. I am always so amazed by him, right? And I feel like as parents in general, where you have to start them young in terms of mommy or daddy is going through this. So certain things
Mm.
around the house has to be a certain way. From the moment like he started to really understand our surroundings inside the house, he always knew not to leave things on the floor, or
Mm.
always put back certain things at the right spot. So mommy
Mm.
won't be able to trip, I won't be able to step on anything, or if it's back, let's say the remote control is back to where it goes, I know where to actually find it again. So I'm not looking around at, everywhere for it. So just little things of how you want certain things to be at the house. And then slowly just kind of let them know, like, this is what's really going on. Mommy can't see well, and mommy needs this white cane. And from there, it's like whenever we leave the house, he'll remind me sometimes because, as moms, we pick up their bags, this and this and that. And sometimes there are times when I would forget my white cane, and Bronx would remind me, oh, mommy, you forgot. Well, he calls it stick. You forgot your stick, right? And just now that he's 6, he's able to really understand more where mommy needs help with certain things, more lighting, and oh, that I need his hand when we walk, and so on. And
Mm.
I feel like it's just very important to also communicate with your children about your condition and whatever is going on in your life, because
Mm.
they're very smart, and and I feel like they're more compassionate, honestly, more compassionate than some adults out there. I always have to say that. But I think it's just the communication wise in general. So he has a better understanding of what I'm going through and what I need, and also how he can help me. So along the way, he knows what to do around the house. He knows when we go outside, there's certain things that we got to look out for, and even having to commute, there are times when he knows if daddy has to be at work, what do? Then we take the bus, or we got to walk to the bus stop, and, life still has to go on, right? But it's important that the kids know all the time, because there's so many of us. There's so many people that are going through so many things, and these children need to understand that this is reality. I don't want to always have to protect him from certain things. Like, this is reality and this is our life. So you need to be open and communicate better.
Yeah, I love how you said that too, because it's bringing so much exposure
Yes.
to him allows for that, for things that might make him fearful, which even for adults or children, things they're not used to, or if they see you struggling with something, it can bring that fearful element. But knowing there's that constant exposure and communication that you provide, that he then knows as well, that he can provide that back to you, asking questions, being, if he's concerned about something, mentioning it to you, so you can have that dialogue. And I think I love that you touched upon that it kind of, as he got older, different things he can communicate with you differently, and you kind of evolve how you share things or what you share as he gets older too. And I think that's important for people to remember. You don't have to wait until a certain age to share different parts, or hide if you're struggling as a parent, because I know that's something that's super important, your kids knowing, like, okay, this is how I can do this. And it's normal for, especially having an illness or disability, it's normal for things to get frustrating for you, or to have a bad day, and to not have to hinder that, so it only looks like sort of the picture perfect version of living with a disability or an illness.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he knows when I step on something and he accidentally leaves something, and I would lose it. It's important for them to really, really be exposed and understand that this is our lifestyle.
Yeah, and even kind of going off of that too, something that kind of comes from that confidence that you instill in him comes from a lot of how you kind of navigate the world as well and interact with people. And I love that, like I mentioned on your with your content creation on your platform, you really do kind of bring such a nice level of just reality to it, but like I always said, it's chic. Maybe it's just because you have such a chic style that, to me, the presentation of your advocacy is just so cool. But I always am curious, because so many young people, if they share, whether it's an advocacy platform or just their own social media platforms, if they have an illness or disability, especially if it's a visible part of their routine, that's something that comes and becomes part of what they would share. And so how have you navigated feeling confident in what you're sharing, or setting boundaries for yourself of how do you kind of navigate, because of the worry of what other people might say, or ignorant comments? How do you kind of navigate, this is my self-confidence and I won't let kind of external opinion impact what I'm sharing or how I'm navigating my platform?
Okay, am I allowed to come off like a B word right now? Because I always say, this is your life. No one's helping me. This is my life. Those people that are going to say something about me, and I always say, is that they're not in my shoes. Like, I'm not getting anything out of you guys. Like, you're not helping me in any type of way. This is my life. And I'm the one that's living it. I'm the one that's experiencing the bad, the worst, and the good stuff, right? And why I've learned to really tune out a lot of noise, and that's family included noise, because you know what it is? This is my life. And at the end of the day, who is living your life? Who is waking up every day and having to do what you got to do? You know what I mean? And I just feel like, whether you want to break me and say a whole bunch of stuff, it doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, you're not me. You're not feeling what I'm feeling. You're not feeling crappy today, or you're not feeling that alone feeling, and the fear of the future type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're not living in my shoes, so why do I have to give a shit?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's like you said, somebody had said to me once, if they're not people you would invite into your home,
Mm-hmm.
they shouldn't be opinions that really stick and matter with you. And it's okay to like be frustrated or be
Yeah.
saddened by what somebody says, but then also take a step
Oh,
back
don't get
and
me
go,
wrong. I get
okay,
I get a
yeah.
lot of I get a lot of hate. And there are times when I feel like, oh, like, what the fuck? Like, but I give me a few minutes and so on, and I'm be like, you don't know what I'm dealing
Hmm.
with. Like, you don't know what I got to deal with and what I'm going through, and you're not creating my own life. Like, that's why I always tell everybody, we are in charge of our creating the life that we always want, right? And it's our choice.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I didn't mention this when we were talking earlier, but it took a long time for me to really accept that this is my life now. Like, that I have this condition that has no treatment, no cure, and so on. But what is it that I'm going to do? It is my
Mm-hmm.
choice. At that time, when I first was diagnosed, I honestly I was suicidal. I
Mm-hmm.
was choosing to give up. And then a lot of things happen and so on. And then with the help of Baz, he is right. He said, it is my choice. We can still
Mm-hmm.
have that life that we want. And I'm going to be the one that's missing out. At the end of the day, it is
Mm-hmm.
us, and it's our choice to keep going, and it's our decision, and it is our life, no one else's. And why should I care what people have to say? At the end of the day, you're never going to make anybody happy anyway. People are going to say something
Yeah.
about you, whether you have a disability, illness, or anything. People talk too much,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
I
know?
love that. That's yeah, it's very true. It's very, very true. I think that's a perfect way to end it too. Is just like you said, is really allowing yourself to have the time of how to be confident in the way you navigate experiences with your health, but then knowing that a lot of times people are going to comment
Yeah.
if it's they choose what they want to choose to comment on. So I like how you phrased that. Um, and then we're flying through. We're going before we go into the second half of the
Oh,
show, guys, with everyone's favorite segment that's coming up. But before we do that, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the InvisiYouth Chat Sessions, listening to our podcast as well, because it provides so much support for the numerous countries of young people that download our resources, that are living with chronic illness and disability, that are striving to find supports for the non-medical aspects of their life with health struggle. So we always do pop our donate link below. It's on the screen and it's in our show notes as well, because 100% of every donation that comes into InvisiYouth goes directly towards funding all of our free resources and programs we provide each month for hundreds of young adults living with any chronic illness or disability around the world. So it's really your support keeping the lights on this show and all of our resources as well that really are making such positive changes for so many young people as they find their own success and joy living with their chronic illness or disability. So if you're able to donate or share and pay it forward and pass it along to someone else, we immensely appreciate that so much. And now, without further ado, everyone, it is our favorite segment. It is So That One Time.
So that one time.
Guys, so that one time, I get to sit back, drink my coffee, and let our guests tell us a story. So, Mara, the mic is yours.
my gosh, I have so many that one time. But I'm going to just share this one because it was very recent. It was last week, and I just love my Bronx. So Bronxy and he had soccer last weekend, and Baz was working, so I had to obviously take the bus with him. And it was such a nice day. The vibe was so good and so on. We get on the bus, and obviously we all know the first few chairs or seats on the bus is for the disabled community. And there's like a huge sign that says, like that, that sign for the disabled, right?
Yeah.
But Bronxy and I sat in the middle because there was like obviously people there that, that didn't give a shit. They don't, they don't give a shit sometimes about people like us, right? So we sat in the middle, and then we're talking, and then Bronx, I'm pretty sure this is why he said it, and he's such a loud kid like me. He's like, "Mommy, isn't that for the disabled? It says disabled over there." And he points at it. And then I was like, "Yes, Bronx, but don't worry about it. We're sitting already." He goes, "No, you're supposed to sit there." And then I was like,
"That's your seat, Mommy.
"That's your seat. You're supposed to be there, right?" The crazy thing about this whole scenario is that I'm pretty sure he was very loud. Like, he's a loud kid like me. But nobody in that front, like in those seats, nobody got up.
Mm.
And this is why I always say, always talk to your children, you know, let them, expose them to all these things, expose them that there's some people that may need help, and, you know, all these type of things, right? Because when they get older, he's only 6 and he's already at this point where he's so compassionate. He sees a homeless person and he's like, we need change, we need this. And because you're raising them to be that good person. And when we sat there, no one got up, and I said, "Don't worry about it. We're sitting already. We're fine." But he's probably wondering, but, you know, why aren't we there? I didn't want to say anything and be like, "Well, those people don't want to get up," you know? And just didn't give a shit. But this is what I mean. I love that story, that one time, because I feel like I'm doing something right, where, you know, that being a disabled parent can still be so wonderful, because you're raising these human beings to be good people. And that's what the world needs. Like, I'm telling you, I 100% always say, sometimes these kids are more compassionate and loving than these adults that don't give a shit. Like, how, for him to be like, "You're supposed to sit there. That's where you're supposed to sit." And no one got up. No one. But here is Bronx being like, "You know, that's for the disabled." And that to me is already such a win and a rewarding feeling, because,
I was gonna say,
you know, everyone, it's a scary feeling dealing with a whole bunch of struggles, and you're raising a family, right? But I knew that I've always wanted to be a mom, and whatever life gives me and whatever God gives me, I just have to go with it. And I was blessed with one, and I'm trying to do the right thing where, you know what, raise him to be a human, like a good human being. And to hear somebody like that at such a young age, like, you know, oh my gosh, just so nice thing to like hear.
Because it makes you think about future 20-year-old Bronx on a bus or a subway on his own and seeing something, and it'll be so second nature to him to then go and open a door or get up out of a seat and do that. And then he would be that visual example for the other people going, "Oh, okay, I should have done that."
Exactly.
And then they can kind of take that on. And so that is really, oh my God. He's like I said, cool kid.
He is a cool kid. I always say that to him too. And then he's like, he gives this look, and I'm like, "No, you're cool. Like, you're a cool kid, and you are just so loving, so smart. And, you know, you just have to like continue being a good kid."
That's really true. I love that a lot. That was a good story.
I know, but there's so much, a whole bunch of stories, but I feel like that's more recent. And I actually shared it last night, because I had a Zoom call meeting with a whole bunch of like legally blind. Like, oh, I love my community so much, because we gather once a month on a Zoom call and hang out. And I shared it with my friends, with the disabled community. And I was like, "Listen, my son on Saturday said, you're supposed to sit there. The disabled sign is there, Mommy." Oh my God, so funny. But yeah, that's him.
I love that. That was perfect. That was a perfect perfect bow on a perfect story for So That One Time, and it gives me all the feels to go into our final segment. I'm super excited because it's one of my personal favorites. We're doing Top Search.
Top Search. You're at the Top Search.
So often when people say they've Googled it, when it comes to their chronic illness or disability, it can be, a autofill section filled with some kind of funny or, some inaccurate things popping up. But we are taking those Top Search and we are going to be going with our special guest, Mara, and asking all sorts of questions and letting Mara be our phenomenal, accurate autofill Google answer for this whole segment. So one thing I wanted to ask was because you've had from your diagnosis period being around 2010, 2011 into now, have you felt that the representation of visual impairment or blindness has grown or evolved, or any for you that you've noticed?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it needs a lot of work still, but everything
Mm-hmm.
is always in work in progress, right? But it's grown so much, thankfully, because social media has been a big thing where there's a whole bunch of us now that get to share stories, get to fight for what we believe in and equal rights, and that we deserve to be there, or we deserve accessibility and so on, right? Because I can't imagine what life would be like if we didn't have these type of platforms to speak up.
Yeah.
So I feel like as the years and as technology has grown, social media and so on, I feel like a lot of things have changed, and we are seeing more work in terms of a lot of changes as well. And it's a good thing. I feel like it's a good thing, but there's still a lot of work to do, to be honest with you. And that's a whole different story, but I'm just saying it's grown.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's true. It's more there's a willingness to allow the showcase of disability or chronic illness, but making sure that's from an accurate storytelling place, from the actual voice of someone with a chronic illness or disability. That's where it can vary a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. It's taking that one movement forward, but then kind of other things need to kind of snowball with it for that. And I wonder as well for you, is there something from your work doing content creation, or even from your other work doing reporting work as well, do you feel that there's something you wish was more universally understood about blindness or that visual impairment, just sort of more universally in the population?
Well, I feel like I have two things to say about this. First of all, not all legally blind or visually impaired people are completely blind.
Mm-hmm.
There's about like 2% that's like legit completely blind. And most of us have some sort of sight, little sight, but we could still somehow see something, And another thing that really pisses me off is why is it that whether you're dealing with chronic illness or disability, it's like, why is there a certain look? Why do you look like that? Are you faking it? Why can't I look what I look like? Why can't you, Dominique, look like that? And you know what I mean? It's like there's this thing where if you're dealing with so many things, especially disabilities and chronic illness, it's like there's a certain look.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe you because you look like that. Well, before I was even diagnosed, I always looked like this. Like, do you know what I mean?
Literally, me too.
It always makes me wonder. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's like you said, it's that lack of awareness that a diagnosis has a spectrum.
Yes.
I think that even that was always for me as well, when you hear, like you said, you mentioning that statistic of how small the percentages of legal blindness or visual impairment actual is complete lack of sight, and how small that number is. You would think naturally people would assume, oh, it's so much higher, it must be 50-50 at least. Or if they say, it's so small, it's interesting.
Yeah, like as soon as they hear legally blind or blind, it's like, I can't see anything. Like, or why are you picking up your phone? And like, it's just one of those things where it's just well, no, not
Yeah.
everybody is completely blind. There's only about 2% in this
Yeah.
world. And people, there's so many different types of eye conditions that, but most of us obviously still see some sort of something,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that just really irritates me. And I'm always like, you get it all the time, and it's like, are you
Yeah.
sure are you sure?
Like, let me think about it. Let
Like,
me
why
check.
do you look like that? Like, are you sure? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sure. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure. Last time I went to all of my doctors, I checked, and
yes.
I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. The world is crazy sometimes.
Even kind of going off of that too, I know because you had mentioned you use your white cane as well. Has there been something that you feel could, and you live in a major city as well, being in the Toronto area in Canada, that do you feel there's things that would make going out in the public space more accessible, or things that you've enjoyed about, I know for myself on campuses, getting more, when I would be working, if even in New York, having pavement improved and there being more walk
Yeah.
passes, or I elevators were like more readily available to me and I wasn't just finding them. It was immediate. If you need one, it's right
Yeah.
here. That kind of growth of allowing those things to be options, or letting you know where accessibility was, is something I'm like, oh, that's been nice to improve. But have you noticed, using a white cane and being in a city, things that you're like, these are great, wonderful things, these are still, this would make things a lot easier, to make things more accessible?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's always room for improvement, right? But I shouldn't complain because I'm very privileged of living in a country, in a city where it is accessible, and I
Hmm.
have the help from organizations that can help me navigate, living with blindness and so on. And but even just having access to the bus and able to have that walkway, because like I said, I've traveled to different parts of the world, and some of them are not even it's not even come close to where I am. Now, so I'm very
Yeah.
thankful of where I am and where I live, because it allows me to be independent,
Yeah.
and it allows me to do things and not being scared, because
Yeah.
more things are accessible. And I can't imagine like living somewhere, and I can't even honestly, doesn't, well, every time I go to the Philippines, like I love the Philippines, but it, they don't have that walkway and so on, right? And I'm sure as
Mm.
much as they want to improve, how? And that's, I'm very, very privileged of where I am, where a lot of things are catered to us and accessible, and I have the help from organizations and even the doctors, right? I mean, it
Mm.
just, I think for me, more importantly, is that I feel independent of being alone and able to do things here and there by myself.
Yeah. No, I love how you said that too, that being able, the iron people don't realize is when you're able to, like, you having your white cane allows you to have independence. Like,
Yes.
using something does bridge that gap to you, or having certain things provides you independence. And like you said, the fact of feeling fear is something that a lot of people don't take into consideration, of just not knowing how I'm going to navigate a space or navigate a
Yeah.
room. Or even for myself, with if I'm starting to have a flare up and I'm in a public place, I have to then navigate, okay, can I get down on the ground? Do I have my heart medication? And you have to start
Yeah.
knowing the scenarios for yourself. Am I in a safe space to have a flare up happening? And so you have to be able to kind of know that narrative for yourself, of how to immediately adapt for
Yeah.
yourself quickly and do things. And I think, like you said, being able to be in an environment that can provide that, or provide that independence for you, is something that people, is helpful for people to kind of understand that as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
And even something I was going to ask as well is, do you think there's something that, for people who are allies or in the support network of being families or friends with someone with a chronic illness or a disability, that can help them be a supporter for somebody living, like for yourself, the people that are in your network? How have you kind of helped navigate them learning to be adaptive and accessible for you? How do you kind of take that role with them, allowing them to adapt with you and that they feel they can take that step with you?
Well, this is why I love connecting with so many people and using my platform, because I never even started to, it all started with just posting a picture and transferring it to another, which is Facebook, but not realizing that there's so many of us, right? And this is why
Mm.
the positive outcome of having social media and using your voice is that there you get to meet so many people from all over the world. And honestly, Dominique,
Yeah.
I never even realized that there were so many of us, of me. I thought
Mm.
2011 or 2010, I was the only one, and I never even realized there was so many eye conditions and so on. And even the thought of like the disability word type of thing. And now that you're on this platform and able to connect with so many people and having your voice and being their friend and kind of reaching out when they reach back to you in terms of like, how do you go about your life? How can I feel this way? And it's just nice to kind of always be there and connect, because I've felt alone when I was first diagnosed, right? And this was when social media was a big thing, to be honest with you. And I felt alone for so long that I use one of the things that I use my platform for is I never ever want anyone to ever feel alone.
Mm.
So connecting with not even just the legally blind community, just anybody struggling, right? And because I always say,
Mm-hmm.
you have a story. Like, I'm not just a disabled woman. I am a
Yeah.
mom. I'm grieving because I lost my mom. I'm this and this and that. I feel like you could always connect and you could always share your story, and there's always somebody listening. So I feel like I'm part of so many communities. My mom
Yeah.
was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, so I've met so many people dealing with cancers, and just
Mm.
so many, just so many. And I feel like when you have a voice and you have your own story, you're able to touch someone and help them out and see life in a different way. And to me, that is always a win, because I never want anyone to ever feel what I felt, which is
Mm.
very alone. And maybe that's why I was just so depressed, because back then, so Instagram and all this wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a big thing. There was not many there was no podcasts and so on, and
Yeah, I was gonna
it
say.
it was a different time. And I feel like
Yeah.
when you use your voice and these tools with your podcast or Instagram or whatever else, like, it is supposed to help somebody out. It is supposed to touch someone's life and make them see that, you know what, that you can do it all still, despite all the struggles, despite everything we're dealing with. So
Yeah.
yeah, if that makes any
No,
sense.
I like how you phrased that. I like how you phrased that so much, because it is this reminding people, especially who have a chronic illness or disability, and then by extension their support networks, that you have so many intersections. Like the disability chronic illness space is
It's
one of
huge.
the it's the most intersectional underrepresented
Oh, that
community
too,
there
yeah.
is, because and so for you to, like you had mentioned, that you can find so many communities in different levels and kind of circles of support for different parts of you by reaching into different parts of what makes you unique in your own journey. And I think that's important for people with an illness or disability to remember, is you might have a certain diagnosis, but you can then connect to people and other
Yeah.
interests you have, different things you're going through. And that's really important. Even just like you said, following certain people on social media and seeing how they navigate, and you learn from one another and take things from how they handle different experiences and
And
how they share different. And I love that you kind of touched on that it's so intersectional, the way you build confidence, and then
yeah,
ergo your support network feels confident being helpful and supporting you, because they see you doing that with yourself as
because I
well.
also feel like being an ally is, we're fighting for one thing, to
Hmm.
be seen. Sorry, my throat is bothering. To be seen, and that we just want to feel accepted. that
Yeah.
we also belong.
Mhm.
And whatever we're dealing with, we know that we're here together fighting for the same thing, equal rights,
Yeah.
to be loved, to be just in general, to be accepted, for God's sake, to be accepted, you know,
Yeah.
and to know that we're also very special. So that's what I
Yeah.
love about the whole community of chronic illness, disabilities, that we're all in it together.
Mara, great way to end the episode. I'm just
Oh,
gonna. I'm not gonna add anything else. I'm gonna leave it right on that note. That was perfect way. I loved that so much. And I would love for everyone to be able to find you on social media so they can all understand my deep love of your platform. So, where can people find you online?
well, you can only find me on Instagram. It's Ate Mara. It's ATEMARA. It is not 8 Mara. It is Ate Mara. And Ate is, in my Philippine language, Tagalog, it means big sister. And everyone
Aw.
calls me Ate Mara, you know, my brother, my sister, everybody. And I just feel like I'm a sister to everybody. I'm there for everybody.
Mhm.
And so that's my handle. Ate Mara,
Oh my.
ATEMARA.
Yes, it is. It is a follow you should do, guys. It will be in our description and show notes. So make sure you go and give Mara a follow. And as always, you can find InvisiYouth on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at InvisiYouth, and on all podcast platforms, on Apple Podcast, Spotify, everywhere you listen, you can click subscribe there. So make sure you click subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, 5 stars if you want, write a nice review if you'd like as well. All of that is massively helpful for us. And Mara, I had so much
Me
fun having you on the show.
too.
You were a phenomenal guest. Thank you
Thank you for
so much
having
for being
me.
on
I
the
had such a great
podcast.
time. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. And everybody, I will speak with all of you on our next episode soon. Chat soon, everybody.